Thanks very much. I've Kate's been on these calls for a long time, and she's told me about it, and I thought it'd be a fantastic thing for me to do it. And really, men as a whole, we don't share things with each other. We tend to hide things in our side. Even when we go to the pub, we joke and carry on, and they talk about things which are so negative about women and things like that. But when it comes down to talking about themselves, they avoid it. They totally avoid it. And, it's something that I was stuck in a rut. We've been listening to another program where there's a left and a right road, and I've taken the left road all the time, and now I'm on the right road. So it's a learning curve, and the biggest thing I've had to do is to basically learn how to listen, because men don't listen, and that's been a hard thing for me. It's still hard. Kate still gives me a hard time, and rather than going on the attack, I've got to sit back and listen. So, but anyway, that it all began when I was small. We grew up in an area in Melbourne, near a race course. My parents had racehorses, and I used to go to the farriers every Sunday after the race with my father, get the horses shod, come back home. My father was very typical of that sort of era of the 1940s and 50s, that men, boys don't speak until they're spoken to. You sit in a corner and you look okay, but you don't say anything unless you're spoken to. And that was hard for me. It was a very lonely childhood. I didn't have many friends, and the friends I did have were all tarred with the same brush, basically. Our parents were exactly the same. So I was sort of kept in a cocoon or a bubble. And, as I started to grow up and go to school, go to tech school, it was an opening, because there was all these tech school here in Australia is like a technical college where it's a boys' school. It's basically all boys who go there, and they go there. Their parents send them there if they want to have a trade, like become a plumber or a builder or a carpenter. I didn't like that. My sort of area was the arts. I loved drawing. My mother was an excellent drawer, and she used to draw all Disney characters and things. So I just loved drawing. So towards the end of tech school, my parents didn't take much interest whatsoever in what I was doing at tech school. And my friends all went to a high school, which is a boys and girls school. And of course, that was like going, wanting to become a bank manager or an accountant or doctors or whatever. And anyway, I went there, and in my last year, the funny thing was, I was very sick, and the principal of my school where I went knocked on the door, saw my mother, and said, "I've got 2 scholarships here for your son." And she said, "Who, Jeffrey?" I said, and he said, "Yes, he's won 2 scholarships to Melbourne University." Well, that dumbfounded her. She just couldn't believe it. Dad couldn't understand it. I wasn't going to become a carpenter. And of course, my friends who didn't get scholarships, who went to a high school, were very put out. So my life sort of changed from there. It sort of, all of a sudden I went to a university, and where people were free and talking, and there was no program about studying. It was up to yourself to study. And I sort of got through these pretty well. I think my entry level score to uni was about 98%, so it was extremely high. But I'm a lazy person because I don't study. So I even wondered how I even achieved that myself. So from that era, I went on. Didn't really have much interest in sport then. I sort of gave it away. I met my first wife, who lived down the road, and that introduced me to a whole new era too. Snow skiing, and we did snow skiing, bushwalking, trekking to the Himalayas. We did all sorts of stuff. So that was great. But I still didn't feel complete. And we were married for 24 years. We had a daughter, a beautiful daughter called Georgia. And the biggest problem is with everybody, I suppose, there's no learning book on, or no manual on how to raise children. You don't know. And of course, we made so many mistakes. We had a lot of arguments and things about all sorts of subjects. And it was very hard, very, very hard. And, particularly, when you get married at 22, again, there's old habits that people teach you, which are not right. So you just sort of put those into a new relationship and into a new marriage. And from there, basically, I went and worked for a company for 20 odd years. My robotic engineering came into play. I had a marvelous career as far as what I did. I met prime ministers. I met heads of corporations, head of Ford. I met all sorts of people, movie stars and things. And all that sort of thing was very good to me. I had an enormous knowledge of talking to people. I gave lectures to 500, 1,000 people. I lectured at RMIT, which is like a second sort of a university here in Australia, in Melbourne. So it was fun doing that type of thing, but I still didn't feel complete inside. Got married a second time, big mistake, and that sort of, that cleaned me out a bit, and very depressed. And but I thought, no, I'll fight on. I'll pick myself up and move on. And I struggled for a bit of time and went to see some psychologists, and they set me straight and about the balls thing. I was too much of a pleaser. I thought that the way you resolve a conflict with a lady is that you do things, and I did too much, and really it was really not the way to do it. And anyway, after 6 years, that petered out, and I just been moved. I thought one day I'll move to Queensland. It's sunny up there, different sort of attitude, different lifestyle, palms everywhere, sand, doesn't rain, although it has been raining for the last 3 months here. But it changed my life. Started talking to people, got to know people very, very well, and thought I'd start go into real estate. Never done it before. And even before I'd even started with this firm when I was going to, people just having coffee with me said, "Oh, well, we want you to sell our house for us. We love you. We love the way you talk. We love you." So that was encouraging. And then this woman appeared, this beautiful lady appeared in front of me, Kate. I had a cry. And she opened me up to so many new experiences, stuff that I thought was factual. I learned that it wasn't, and I've begun the journey with Kate, and it really has opened my life up. It's given me purpose, direction, and it's also made me question the way we've been brought up, what things we've been told by our parents and by everybody, and a lot of it's not right. It's wrong, totally wrong. And so it's given me a different purpose in life, and I'm loving it. I can't, we have our ups and downs, we have our little fights, but I've learned to control myself. I've learned to listen. That's the big thing that men have got to do, and I want to talk to men about this, about listening and acknowledging women, because we have a wrong idea about ladies, and ladies have got their own problems, but men don't share their problems. We keep it inside, and it festers away, and we've got our little man in our head telling us what to do and what not to do, and he's not always right. He's wrong a lot of the time, and I just believe that men have got to have a better direction and an understanding. And actually, Kate and I attended a men's group one night, and it was just amazing. She got a standing ovation from the men, And there were men there. There was one man there who had a loving wife. He loved a beautiful home, beautiful children, a fantastic career, a fantastic company, yet he wanted to commit suicide. He was sick of his life. And men struggle with this stuff, and it's terrible. I just want to talk to men and tell them where I've come from. My journey's been pretty up and down, but men don't talk about this stuff, and I believe a platform like this could be a start for men to get involved and understand women, understand what ladies are going through, and it's a very, very hard life out there, and I think that we have to really have a better understanding of what goes on around us. And I just feel that myself personally, I'm getting there. It's taking me a while. I have a lot of barriers that go up, and defensive barriers when Kate tells me the truth, and the truth is very hard to take. I didn't like hearing the truth or talking the truth, and I think that's a good thing for men to do, because boy, you really kick the rug out from you when you start telling the truth. So yeah, that's my story. It's a pretty it's been an interesting life. I wouldn't change it, but I would change what I did, I suppose, in some marriages. It's a pity I couldn't meet Kate 30 years ago. It would be great. So thank you. Thank you for having me here. I really do appreciate it. Thank you.